The next morning, the drivers reach the seaport and are reunited with their vehicles. Other flights are still coming in one at a time, and processing the hundreds of volunteers is taking several hours. There are angry scenes at the airport, with the authorities claiming to have lost several passports and refusing to allow those individuals through. Eventually, by evening, the last flight is processed, the passports are found, and everyone arrives at the seaport.
United in Egypt, ready to go to Gaza, inshallah.
Going to Gaza!
But there are several issues outstanding. The Egyptians are refusing to allow a number of vehicles through which they do not consider appropriate aid, and they want all non-medical aid to enter Gaza via an Israeli-controlled checkpoint.
We were negotiating with the Egyptian emissary, Mr. Mohammed Hibba. He told us that they were going to take 59 of our vehicles. That is more than 25% of the convoy.
We couldn't understand why these vehicles were not being allowed to pass through. The vehicles were bought by human rights groups in America. We had meetings with the Egyptian authorities and Turkish MPs, and in the meeting, all of a sudden they said, "We won't allow the vehicles through." We said, "Why? You gave us a promise." They said, "No, in writing we only promised the other vehicles. We don't have a written agreement about these ones."
The Egyptian negotiator then withdrew from the room to make a telephone call 4.5 hours ago, and he has not come back. He has neither telephoned nor come back to the negotiations. So you have up in the room all these members of parliament sitting with nobody to talk to. So you create a vacuum, somebody fills it.
That vacuum is filled with yet another loud protest, which reaches the gates of Al Arish seaport.
You know, at this point, obviously people were feeling very frustrated because we're just 40 kilometres now from the border, and there's no reason we could have been there in, an hour.
Buoyed by renewed vigour, the crowd pushes out the gates but doesn't move any further. Its advance is met by a battalion of riot police that form a ring of steel around the entrance.
The world will be seeing this image. And what is this image? This image is a humanitarian convoy with medicine from 17 countries, with people of all races and creeds coming together, being faced by ranks of riot police and water cannon. That's what the world will see tonight.
They were massing up. They didn't try and do anything to us. They were just building up their ranks. So first of all, there was kind of one line of them, and then it became a kind of semicircle, so it totally kind of sealed us into the port. And then more ranks were turning up behind them. And then a big lorry, kind of looks like a tanker, turned up and was sat behind. And it turns out that's the water cannon. And then there were other guys who weren't in uniforms. And no one behaved in an overtly hostile manner while all this was happening. But it seemed there was a lot of intent behind it, like they were just waiting for their moment.
I don't know exactly how it kicked off, but there was a scuffle over the other side from where I was standing, and some people started shouting. As soon as that spark started, the police just ran forward. I mean, they knew what they were going to do. There was no doubt in their minds that that is what their orders were.
The batons are quickly followed by the water cannon and tear gas.
When they blasted the water at us, right, we could not see and could not breathe. It was just shocking. Our throats, nose, eyes, everything.
But perhaps most devastating are the thousands of stones and rocks thrown into the compound by the police. Some in the convoy throw stones back. In the ensuing melee, the convoy's vehicles are damaged, the port's buildings have their windows smashed, and dozens of Viva Palestina volunteers fall to the ground, some with serious injuries, after being hit by batons and bricks. Despite this, many remain defiant.
From what I hear, that the Egyptians, they're not going to stop. They don't want us to enter into Gaza. We're ready to stay in here. I'm ready to bleed all my blood, because they're selling the blood of the Gazan children for little, and we're ready to stay in here to take our aid, to do whatever. They can come with 1 million people. We're ready to stay in here and do whatever we have to do to get into Gaza.
Egyptians made really a very big mistake. They openly declared a war to whole world, not just to Muslims, Because in our team, I mean, as you see, there are different nations, different religions, and non-Muslim, atheists, everybody. But the only aim is to help needy people inside. So it was an open declaration of war against the whole world. That's something inhuman, unacceptable, injustice. I don't know what I'm gonna say. That's all.
By daybreak, the situation has calmed down significantly, but details also emerge of the serious injuries inflicted not only on the convoy, but also on Palestinians who were protesting at the Rafah border over the plight of Viva Palestina.
35 kişi yaralandı. Bunlardan 3 tanesi çok ağırdı.
35 people were injured, of which 3 were very serious. One was a 17-year-old that had a bullet go through his spine. I visited this child. He was to be paralyzed for the rest of his life. He was lying down. There was only emptiness in his eyes. He knew that he wouldn't walk again. I mean, what could you feel at that moment? The only thing this young man did was go to Egypt's border and join a demonstration about the pelting of the people in the convoy. They were mercilessly fired at.
Back at Al Arish, the convoy leadership and the Egyptian authorities have reached a compromise.
We are forced by the government of Egypt to leave 59 vehicles behind. Although not the same 59 vehicles that we were originally asked to leave behind. All of the remaining vehicles will be donated to the Palestinian people. The vehicles and the aid will be left with them.
Most of the US vehicles are being barred, along with several Turkish pickup trucks. They'll be taken back to Palestinian refugee camps in Syria to be put to use there. With emotions still running high from the night before, some criticise the British leadership for their handling of the crisis. Others remain supportive, but in the end everyone puts their differences aside for the time being, aware of the bigger picture. The return of the volunteers held prisoner by the Egyptian police raises spirits, and the teams line up for the short journey to the border.
Very, very excited. I'm looking forward to meeting the Palestinian brothers and sisters, inshallah. We've been waiting for us all these months, all these years, should I say. And we've got a point to prove. We want that siege taken off. That's what it's all about.
The teams are split up, and Egyptian police bureaucracy serves to delay each group, so that the end of the convoy enters Gaza several hours after the first vehicle. But in the end, it's worth it. 1 month after first setting off from London, the multinational convoy delivers its humanitarian aid to the hospitals and charities of Gaza.
There was happiness in Gaza. Many people thought their saviours had come. I wish we could be saviours, but we knew we could only stay there for a few days, and the injustice to these people would still continue. We experienced happiness and grief at the same time.
Yes, there were still demolished or partially demolished buildings, but they cleaned up every place. This is the way that Gaza people live. And last many years they are in this struggle, and they know how to look forward.
That dignity and that collective response, that refusal to bow to the pressure, that's the thing that really characterises, I think, the Palestinian people's struggle, and which makes it so inspiring. And I think it's 60 years of Palestinians behaving like that, which has helped to destroy the Israeli myths about the conflict, the situation there, and left them now so isolated in the world.
I think the more you get to know someone, the more you care about the situation that they're in. And for me, talking to them and hearing them talk about their life and how it's been since I was there last, was just unbelievable.
I hope other people will make effort to go and visit Gaza, not just Gaza, go to Palestine. So show those people your support and what it means to us. We're helping a humanitarian cause. It's not the issue of Muslims or Islam, it's humanity, and we need to do something about it.
And then it starts.
And then it's okay.
Thank you very much.
A few months later, aid workers will try and break the siege again, challenging Israel's blockade directly on the Mediterranean Sea. The aid mission will again be met with violence, but this time with fatal consequences.
Bu ambargo kalkmalıdır ve bu ambargonun kalkması için
This embargo needs to be lifted. For this to happen, all the people and countries with conscience in the world need to act together. As long as this embargo goes on, the things people there have to endure will damage world justice and peace. Let Israel know, let the countries we live in know, let the Middle Eastern countries know, let the world know. Until this embargo is lifted, we will not stop, and one day in a freed Palestine, we will all together wave the Palestinian flag.